Jules, welcome to SuperLife.
Thank you for having me, my friend.
Good to see you. We've known each other for some years now.
Yeah, a little bit. I think we started talking probably before the pandemic, for sure. 2019, maybe? 19.
It was post first season of Down to Earth, I guess.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you've had a hell of an arc, and I haven't seen you for a while. You got married.
Married.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you.
You guys have a beautiful union.
Thank you.
And, you know, even though we haven't been in contact, well, stay in contact, but I haven't seen you for a while, I've watched this, I don't want to say change, I want to see this opening in you. And also this grounded strength that's kind of, I don't know, for lack of a better word, come up in you or come out, right? And then you've stepped into facilitating yourself and then people and, you know, the human garage part of your journey into your own kind of anchoring your own systems and your own sharing. So like, I guess, and then you come from this modeling world. So so people who don't know you, and I'm just going to reflect a few other things back. You've always come from your heart.
Thank you.
Right? You're always such a, and guys, sometimes it's weird. You know, men don't often, I find it, sometimes I can hang out with a lot of dudes, and then sometimes I got a lot of good male friends in my life. However, in my life, I've also seen how men have a hard time also opening themselves up, at the same time maintaining masculinity and everything else. So I just reflect that back to you. You're one of those guys that you're in touch with yourself. You're strong, but you're also empathetic and and sharing. You're willing to share and learn. So there you go. That's my shower.
Thank you. Appreciate it
for the day. So why don't you just tell people a little bit, because we share some things in terms of loving health and learning, getting in touch with our bodies. We lost fathers. You know, there's a lot of kind of things there. But why don't you start with, you know, your journey of, you know, modeling stuff, and then this incubation of caring about yourself, and now you're at this place where you're really helping a lot of people. So maybe walk us through some of that journey.
Of course. So first of all, thank you. It's beautiful. And so yeah, I mean, I'm German originally. I grew up in a village with 120 people. My dad was a butcher. My mom worked in a bakery. I'm one out of four. I have three sisters, older, younger, and I actually have a twin sister. And, you know, I went to school till I was 16, and then I actually started working as an industrial mechanic for about 7 years. So I would walk around. I learned this job. The company, they built industrial pumps. And I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but I actually worked for almost 3.5-4 years, I worked in nuclear power plants.
Wow. Is that why you glow?
I hope not. It's a wrong glow, I guess. But so, and then when I was 23, I got a friend of mine. She was part-time modeling. She was a nurse, and she was like, maybe you should try modeling. And back then I was really into drinking, partying a lot. And I was like, oh, maybe. I hated my life. I remember I would go on expensive vacation. I made good money back then. And there was one time I came to the States the first time, 2011, when I just turned 21. We went to Jamaica as well with two of my friends. It was basically a 3-week drinking trip. And then towards the end, I was sitting in this pool. I was like, what are you doing? This was like kind of like the first awakening. I'm like, I go back home. I don't like my job. I just work through the week. And then on the weekend, I just numb myself out, you know. So I just stumbled across modeling, had a great career in the beginning, like was fortunate enough to get discovered, was able to move to New York 2016. And then it was always about how am I looking? what's my diet, what's my workout, jumping on the next best thing all the time, to get validated on the outside. And I look back now and everything in my life basically had to happen this way, because when you in the limelight as a model, you're in front of the camera, obviously, and then everyone is like looking at you. So everyone's clapping you on the shoulder. Oh, you look beautiful in this picture. Did you see this campaign? It's amazing. And it just feeds the ego so much. It fed the ego a lot, and it felt good. Like in the beginning, particularly when I came to the States, to New York, as I said, coming from this tiny village, there's so much input on my body, mentally as well as physically, and I loved it. It was amazing, and I had a great time in New York. And the older I grew, the more I ran into times and days where I felt completely exhausted. And then the older I got, the more I realized every time I would be on set, I would be so drained. Even if I just worked for 2 hours, the rest I sit around would be exhausted. So the energy from other people was just so much. And I'm going to go far back when I was 5 years old, and I always remember this. I was cycling on my bicycle next to my mom, and she was looking at me, and I had this thought in my head all the time, and I remembered it was yesterday. And I was asking her, I said, Mom, why am I in this body? What's my purpose? As I said, I come from a very simple background. She looked at me with big eyes and couldn't find an answer. But I had always this question in my mind, and I always wanted to help somehow other people. So I got into fitness and health throughout this modeling journey. That's when we connected. And, I tried to help people, but it never really 100% resonated with myself because there was a lot of blockages in myself. So it was all ego-based, all vanity-based. I have to do this to look that certain way. I need to take this supplement to get to this place. I need to do this to go there. And in the end of the day, it all just drove me further and further apart from who I am as a man, and who I want to become in a sense. So to make a long story short, I met Kate 2021. 2 months prior to that, my dad passed away very sudden. And this was kind of a very big wake-up call for myself. The death of my father was like, okay, I realized there's much more important things than the way I look or the way other people perceive me, because what I noticed was I actually had a lot of people around me that actually cared for who I am. Because when you're in a picture, nobody cares for your heart. It's all about the way you look. So, and then that started something within myself where I'm like, okay, how can I find purpose in my life to actually feel like this by helping other people? So when Kate and we met, and honeymoon phase, everything was amazing. I moved out here to LA, and took me quite a bit to find my path. Went back into doing full-time modeling, tried many different ways. Because you get a little bit thrown off the path when you meet a partner. You're on this path by yourself, and then we met, and then we have to ride this train here together in a sense where you're like, okay, what are we gonna do? So I was kind of scared to try something completely new because I know, okay, I was modeling full time for back then almost a decade. I was like, okay, let's just do this for a bit. So it was like 2 years ago. So where I was running again physically a lot. I was running away physically, and it came to a point where one day I was running 2 hours on a Sunday. I woke up the next day, I couldn't walk. My lower back was a disaster. I couldn't walk for 5 days. And that's really when I stumbled across Human Garage, Fascia work. So I started doing this, instantly got pain release. And then after really recovering completely for myself, I started feeling different. The more I started doing the proper breathing, Fascia work, the more I started feeling myself again. And then over time, one day I just woke up, I felt like a different human. And I was like, okay, if I can do this, as stubborn as I am, everyone can do it. So I started doing this on social media and so forth. And then, what led me to this point right now in my life is just, I started understanding myself. I started understanding that the outside will only appear when the inside is solid. And I say always, if you want to build a house, you build a house on a rocky, sandy foundation, it's going to blow. The first wind comes, it's going to fall apart. And that's what I'm focusing on right now for myself on a daily basis, just keeping this ground solid, and then you can build. We want to have a family, we want to have kids, and I want to be the best father I can be. And then showing up on a daily basis for myself, and when I show up, I don't I don't want to call myself a teacher. What I'm showing people, it's like we just mirrors for each other in the end of the day. Because if I'm mirroring my practice on a daily basis, other people look at me and they see something, and maybe they learn something. So I started. It's called mindful movement because it's fascia, but it's more so. I focus a lot on the breath because 99% of the people I meet, they don't breathe proper.
Right.
Upper chest breathing, shallow breathing, and that keeps us in a fight or flight mode, in a state of stress all the time, racing mind, racing thoughts, and you can never really calm down. And I do believe this is something I learned from Gary from Human Garage, and other people say the same thing. The human body is designed really to heal itself, but it can only heal itself when you get it out of stress and when you give it the right tools. So how I explain it now, what I'm doing is like I used to be a mechanic, so I was carrying around 2 blue metal boxes of tools. And now I have those toolboxes invisible, and I share those tools with everyone who wants them. And if someone wants them, take them, apply them, and you might be able to change your life.
What do you believe now that because it's like words are interesting, right? We can easily say like, focus on yourself, build the foundation, and it's so many people say that stuff. You apply, right? You really dedicate yourself to learn and to expand and grow. So like people listening right now, because people are stressed out, people are they want to believe this. We know it's true. I mean, if you common sense will tell you the body's unbelievably powerful and resilient. It's literally the entire nature, universe, God flowing through us at all times. And it's really our blockages that sometimes are hard to access, or like, why is this happening to me? So as you view now, what do you believe then is a starting point for people to work on that foundational thing, to maybe start to slow enough to listen to the stillness?
Yeah.
Because the stillness is the key, I believe. It's the access point, and there's a lot of roads that can point people there and many paths to that same thing. But there is something powerful through the body that, because this is our chosen vessel for our soul to express itself, and this kind of gets the benefit of this reality as well as the slings and the rocks and the challenges of it, right? So it has to deal with the gravity, it has to deal with the negativity coming at it or coming inside of it from us.
Yeah.
So what's now that, I'm asking a bunch here, but as we kind of settle from what I just said, from a foundational standpoint, what do you believe is a powerful step for people to, because it is a practice, my gosh, it's a practice of stillness. And what do you believe works well with all the people you've worked with and creating that sense of stillness, or at least a starting point of a foundation?
So I believe it's, I always look at the low-hanging fruit, which is the breath is number one. And then it takes about 7.5 hours to reprogram your body to breathe properly. So you don't have to, ideally it's called the perfect breath, 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out through the nose. Comes down to 6 breaths per minute. And it's really scientifically proven that it takes you out of fight or flight and gets you into the parasympathetic nervous system within less than a minute.
So when you say 7 hours, practicing it.
So, exactly. So what I say to everyone is like, in the beginning, we need to give the body a feedback. So you want to lay down. So ideally you do this in the morning and in the evening before when you open your eyes, and then before you close your eyes. You take a book, place it on your stomach, and then you just like make sure this book is rising when you inhale through the nose, and then it goes down when you exhale. And when you do this for 15 minutes in the morning, you do it for 15 minutes in the evening. That's really no time, because most people lay in bed is scrolling for 20 minutes.
Right.
Do the same thing in the evening. So just put the phone away and focus on your breath.
Right.
There's apps, there's like, you can play music, whatever, or just count in your head, because the counting itself will calm down the mind. And then when you do this for 15 days, you have 7.5 hours. And then all of a sudden your breathing pattern is reprogrammed, and you then will breathe differently throughout the day. So what I look at is really always, I mean, everyone is looking on the outside, like what's the next best supplement, what's the next workout routine, what's the next HIIT training I can do. And everyone's stress cup is already overflowing. So where I'm coming from is like, okay, I have my stress cup, it's overflowing. I rather take something out first before I can take something in. Mm-hmm. So this simple breathing practice will make a huge difference. Yeah. Because you set your day and your evening, your sleep up for calmness.
Yeah.
And if you add some affirmations afterwards, like journaling and so forth, there's habit stacking in the end of the day. But I always say start with the breath, because that's the most important thing right now. So for everyone who's listening, if you've never done anything and you want to get your feet wet, just start with this simple practice as I just described, because it will make a big difference.
Yeah, and I think, and we underestimate how powerful those things are. And I know for me, it's so easy to be distracted in life. It's it's constantly coming at us. And the dedication of just starting there, because the chatter is nuts, right? The mind is crazy. It's going to grab onto everything, anything, all the time. But that stillness, that's the treasure inside. It's and it's quite possibly the most powerful. It is the most powerful thing we can do, is the silence and listening from our heart and our soul, and straight up, like full stop, like that is. So I'm glad you said that, because that, and with that, you become closer to your body.
Yeah.
Instead of my mind's over here, my body's over here. What am I really feeling? Right? Because I have this new rule too, and I have some maybe bigger decisions. If they're not critical or acute, 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a decision, because I know I can be emotional. I can react. Someone did something and I got to, oh, fuck, okay. This just changes everything. And I got to, and then, what are you doing? And like, it's so easy and it's so addictive for us to react, right? And I'm saying, like, my hands up. Like, I recognize I do this. And I'm telling you, I had an example of that. So a major thing just happened. I mean, I could go into so much has happened with me in the last five months. Like, anyone listening, I was fucked. Like, back pain, knee dislocation, sick for 2 weeks, like stacked on top of one after another. Without getting to all of what that was, after I started feeling better, I found, and this is the thing I wanted to bring up. I found out someone that was working with me on my house, with my house, for 8 years, stole from me a significant amount of money.
Wow.
Like, trust. Like, I was giving trust, because a lot of money was trying to rebuild, right, from the fire, and like a lot of trust in 8 years. Like, you're almost a decade in with this person, and then full on fell in my lap. Universe, God had my back, and I was like, oh, fully. It was clear, 100%, right? So I sat, because of course that's like, holy shit, dude. Like, I want to fucking knock his head off, right? That was the amygdala Viking blood just goes, I'm gonna rip your head, right? So I sat with it 3.5 days. And I ended up having an intervention basically with him. I invited him to my house under a different context. We're going to look at my future and how we're going to rebuild all of these other things. And he shows up and I go, I came at it from a space, and I had an empathy, but I didn't know necessarily what was going to come out of it. but I set my energy completely different.
Yeah.
And what do I want to occur, or what am I open to the possibility for? So long story short, it was hard for him, but he knew I knew, and I wasn't also attacking him. And it turned into an incredible situation. He still owed me the money, and he's still on probation, basically. But the opportunity, and for him, it wasn't an action he wanted. He felt like he made decisions that put him into a no-choice universe. So it's only upon these practices, if we don't step in consciously to our life every day,
Yeah.
we're a victim to it fully,
100%.
right? And I want to reflect this back to you, like personally. I haven't seen you necessarily work with people, but I've seen people reflect how incredible it has been working with you. But all I can say is you are a greater version of yourself, having done many things of integration and healing. And I can clearly see that.
Thank you.
So for you now, like working with people, what are you seeing? I could guess, but what are you seeing in people today as some of the biggest kind of roadblocks or challenges people are having that probably have different archetypes that are showing up for you, right? Different expressions, but there's probably some themes. What are you seeing right now?
So mostly it's really, again, comes back down. A lot of times, so the breath is a problem that keeps him stuck there. And then it's an enclosed
so the
body.
lack of the movement of the breath.
Yeah, but it stems from, with most people I see and I talk to, is really, it comes somewhere from the childhood.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't necessarily have to be sexual abuse. You know, obviously, as the more the abuse is, or the more harsh this abuse was, the more it reflects itself, unless the person worked through it. So it could even be something simple as the parents fighting when we were young, because we always make it about us, and then we freeze. So in this freeze state stays like this, so we stop breathing properly, and then with that it becomes this disconnect. So it's really, in the end of the day, and you said it, what I believe and how I look at it is, our soul chose this body to have an experience, the human experience. We come down to Earth School to learn something. It's probably one of the hardest schools in the universe. But if you listen and you're able to see and you want to do something, you can learn a lot, right? So, but we get trapped in this body, and then having this trauma, experience this trauma, and we can never really, our soul, quote unquote, can never really wake up, because the body becomes a prison for our soul. So the more we trapped in this body, the more disconnected we are, and then everyone is looking on the outside. So this is the number one thing I see, is like people I talk to, people I write or like see in person, they always like, some people have, you can write a movie, film a movie for their life, what happened within like a couple of months, the crazy stuff, one after the other, and then it comes down to, for example, if someone is sexually abused, what I believe and what I see and what I feel is always, whatever this person, let's call it the predator, did to this girl or boy, there's always, where there's light, there's darkness. So there's a dark energy gets exposed to this little kid, which then most likely lived in the body, and, we can go far into this, but it's, in the end of the day, I do believe, as I said, there's light, there's dark. I believe in God. And when you have a certain entity growing in yourself, that causes a lot of trouble and problems. It's suppressed emotions, trauma. There's many ways to say that, but over years of suppressing that, the body, eventually every suppressed emotion will show up in the body, whether it's pain, physical pain, mental illness, whether it's disease or anything like this. So 99.9% of the people who come to me, where they have drastic anxiety, whether physical pain, diseases, it all stems back from the childhood,
Mm-hmm.
where we just never felt safe,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times, even if you grow up in a childhood where there's a lot of money, there's a lot of support, and then yet the adults or the parents put a lot of pressure on the child to perform. So everything, the love is validated on the amount of love I'm getting as a child. So what I also noticed there is the people who have everything together on the outside, who have OCD, everything has to be really, really organized, and they're really good, successful career, they have a successful life, they have everything you can imagine. Meanwhile, inside, everything looks amazing on the outside. Inside, there's a war going on. Because the need to be controlling the outside comes from a disconnection on the inside. Because inside, I don't feel safe in my body. I don't feel safe within myself. I have to make sure the external environment is safe.
It's a reaction to all of that. Yeah.
So, which is, obviously you create an amazing life for yourself, but at the end of the day, you just keep climbing ladder, next mountaintop, to just realize there's never an ending. And you sit up there and you still feel empty. Right. So what I really focus on and try to help people with, and it's working really well, is just going back to this place when this happened, whatever happened, just go back. And how I describe it, the analogy I use is, so imagine you sitting on your kitchen table, have a meal, and every day there's sitting a monster across from you and eats your food, which is a trauma, which is the emotion that is suppressed. And till you actually ask why you're there, this will never go away. And you can ignore it, which would be, for example, sitting in meditation. So people come to me, I went to 2-week Vipassana, I felt amazing. The minute I come back to LA, someone cuts him off on the street, on the road, and then everything comes back.
Comes the monster.
Monster comes back, right? So, and
while you're meditating, it was doing push-ups in the parking lot.
Exactly. No, it's so true. And this is something I learned from the work from Ken Wilber, because what he talks about is everyone is talking about growing up and waking up, but meanwhile, nobody wants to clean up. You have to clean up first in order to grow and wake up. And this is really what it is, because if I trust me, I had so much rage in my body, I would literally, and I said it, I had moments in my life where if someone would do something, I physically, in my mind, would play this game to rip the head off. Yeah. There was so much rage and anger, stems from, growing up, my dad post-World War II, all this anger, this rage that got passed on to him, got passed on to me. Mm-hmm. Once I learned about that and realized that, I'm like, wait a minute, it doesn't mean that's bad. It's part of who I am. But how about I can turn this rage and anger into something that actually strengthens me? It's still part of me, but it doesn't have to affect me. So this monster all of a sudden becomes, it's like Beauty and the Beast. All of a sudden this beast turns into a beautiful thing that nurtures myself. And then, I have the ability to turn this around because it's not who I am anymore. It's just a memory of the past. So use that. And then with this, I can help other people. Yeah. So, but we got to clean up first. And it's nothing different. I mean, you're so healthy and you do everything. It's the same thing when we try to explain how it's important to clean your system. Detox, it's the same thing, whether it's emotional detox or physical detox. If someone has a multi-million-dollar mansion, the most amazing kitchen in the all organic food, if you never clean up, it's going to start stinking very, very soon. Yeah. So, and that's what the physical bodies from 99% of the people who walk around the earth, and it's the same with the emotional body. So you got to look back and clean up. Yeah. And that's a part where it's going to be painful, Well,
it's so easy to, like, you want to avoid the pain. Yeah. Right? And so it happened. So I don't want to go back there. And what you're talking about is not, listen, if you need a professional counselor, blah, 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 we're not here to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
That's the caveat. However, you're talking about getting in touch with the feeling of it. And this, I like that technique. It's like Gestalt, right? It's old German Gestalt technique where he's like, it's fantastic to just let that energy, like, why are you here? Like, what am I not understanding here? And you can start to unpack that. And the irony is that the pressure lessens as soon as you start acknowledging the monster doing push-ups over here, you know, and the spiritual bypass is really a thing, right? And I've been around a lot of spiritual circles, and as soon as I get that hint that it's a little culty or it's a little, I don't know, I just go, you guys there's a something around here that I can feel, and I'm like, nah, I'm out. Like, you know, and name me a guru out in the world that hasn't been busted at this point. They're just like, every one of, like, so they have to do, not that we need to talk about all of that stuff, but it's again, it's the pointing back to self. But that initiation of leaning into that pain, it is bloody difficult. And again, I could speak a long time on this. Those, what I alluded to before, those 5 months was 100% birth trauma. I went back and listen, I had 20 years ago, I had a recapitulation of birth. I saw it, I experienced it, I had fluid coming out, I was crying in the middle of a psychology program where we were doing this regression. So I was aware of my trauma, and that first layer physically shot out of me. I couldn't even stop it. However, there was so many other layers that all of the pain was just like bing, 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 like a neon sign. And, you know, 50 years old, you're just going, I dealt with this stuff before. And it's, the ego is so tricky.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it reasons, it justifies, when all it was is like, sit, be quiet, lean in to the energy. And the energy went all the way back. And I had layers of that birth trauma. I was supposed to, like, I've said this story so many times, at least in many different things, but I wasn't supposed to live. I was 4 pounds. I was 2 months early. I was put in a box for 3 weeks, had no contact, shoved in formula that they were, you know, had, and then they convinced my mom, don't give him breast milk, let him gain weight. So all roads were leading to like, this isn't safe. I'm terrified, and I am not safe. This is not safe. So what did I do? As soon as I kind of started working out, and all of these injuries were the compensatory side of, I'm crushing myself. My back is screaming, and all the roads were leading back here to this birth. So it is certainly, not to be dramatic, but it is easy to blow it off, but it's a warrior type of thing. And at the same time, it's not like, it's more of softening, loving yourself, and all of that stuff. So that's all to say that none of us get out of childhood trauma. I'm convinced. None of us.
Yeah.
Varying degrees, whatever that is, like you said, perfect kind of scenario, got whatever you want, seemingly had a bunch of love, but then all these other weird things are tied to, like, you're not going to get out.
Yeah.
But it's not over. It's I guess for you then, when you're working with people, clearly opening up channels in the body, because memory is in the body.
Yeah.
It's not here, right? So then we get into the unbelievable mechanisms of, it's fascia, yes, and it's also infinitely more. There's a ton of trillions of receptors on the fascia and the endocannabinoid system, and like, it's very complex. And by the way, most of that was flushed after the Flexner report. Like, they wiped away basically fascia. I read about fascia, but knew nothing about it in physiology. And certainly the endocannabinoid system was wiped from any medical literature completely. And it might be more important communication system than our central nervous system. It may be.
Yeah.
So So when you're dealing with the fascial system, clearly you practice it, you do it. It's been very helpful for you. How are you seeing it show up in people, and what are some I know you do them. Anyone should check out your page because you're giving these things. You're giving so many techniques away every day. I guess, what are some steps that people can use their body to start unlocking some things, maybe things that you've seen often stuck in people?
So a lot of times it's, we all clench our jaw, grind our teeth, most people. So there's a really simple one, and it's just where you go with your fingers into the mouth and top teeth on the molars, onto your gums all the way back, and you push back. And it's going to hurt. But over time, the more you do that, obviously, again, slow, deep breathing, each exhale, you push a little bit further back. Over time, it will release here. And then when it releases here, the hips are opening up. And then all of a sudden, my body moves differently. It's nothing different. Someone clenches their jaw 8 hours at night. If you make a fist 8 hours at night, your entire body is tight. Yeah. So it's the same here, but it's so overlooked. When I started doing this, after 4 months, my wisdom tooth started growing in.
What?
Yeah, because I created so much space in my mouth that it actually was able to grow in.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I'm not making this up. That it happened to me, and I always had very tight hips, and took me 33 years to get really tight. I can't expect that it's gonna be open in 2 months.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna take 33 years.
Practice.
But every day, my squat was terrible. To go down in a squat, I was not able to do. Now I'm pretty much all the way down, and it's getting better every day. So this is very important to start with, and then from Human Garage, there's a really amazing practice, which is a stress reset, which are 2 back-to-back of those techniques, fascia maneuvers. It's totally twisted and anti-gravity, and I purposely slow it down a lot with the breath. And what it is a total spinal untwisting as well as a spinal decompression. And we do that every morning. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes, depending how you breathe. It makes a huge difference, especially if you drive a lot, sit a lot, or fly. It's amazing. So that's what these are 2 things I put people on. Is start with 15 minutes in the morning and evening breathing. Start to do the fascia maneuvers. If you have really tight jaw, do this one as well every day. And then that might all together occupy maybe 45 minutes out of the day. But what I've seen is, first of all, people change a lot when they do it every day. Within 30 days, the person is very different, not just on a physiological level, also mentally and emotionally, because it's not that you have a massive release when you do those kind of practices. Some people do, but most of the time it's gradually, you're peeling that onion, every day a little bit more, every day a little bit more. And all of a sudden you wake up wow, I'm out of pain. I feel different. And this is something 45 minutes out of the day is nothing. And then what I've seen is people want to do more, and then they stack.
Yeah.
It's this habit stacking, you do more, a little bit more, a little bit more. I personally have now practiced. I get up before 5 o'clock, and I'm busy till 7, which I personally enjoy. It's you have the same thing. We do this. There's a practice involved in that, but it's also, I know when I miss it, I'm not the same person, because it's almost it's the anchor for my ship, so it's not bouncing around on the wave.
Yeah, and I think everyone can start with that, few minutes of breathing first. And like you said, don't look at you or me as oh my God, I'm overwhelmed, I don't have 45 minutes. Just, it's all our problems stacked. So do our solutions. Yeah. We stack those solutions. And that's the point. It's not the perfect pill, the magical mantra, it is a literal practice. This life is a practice. So what's your vision now? Where you want to go with all of this?
So, I'm fortunate. I've reached a lot of people now on social media. It's all growing. And I started because I was starting doing live classes virtually twice a month, and turned it into a membership. So this is growing. So hopefully I have tens of thousands of people on there to just help spread the word, and then use those tools that I give away, because in the end of the day, it's like, if someone changes their life, they change other people's life. And then it's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
I don't see myself ever, and I've said that I don't want to certify anyone, because the work I'm doing is very personal. The tools I'm giving away, but when I work with people, I can't really replicate that, because what I do a lot is also, which I learned over the years of doing this, is I was always good in listening, holding space in a conversation, and now and I can say that God gave me a gift to really hold space on an energetic level, and then removing this stagnant energy, whether it's like whatever childhood abuse was there, I'm able to get this actually out with the help of God, because this is what I do. So I'll never do that. I want to keep doing this. I'm doing like private retreats with certain people. So hosting retreats, and then just hopefully one of the goals is like being a stadium and just fill a stadium and help people. There's 50,000 people, and I'm on the stage and showing them how to breathe. If 50,000 people in the same room breathe at the same cadence at the same time, it's going to be very powerful. And there's a lot of release, And I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm not trying to make something up that's never been around. What I'm trying to do is like what I say to everyone there is, my brand is how I make people feel. And the feeling I want people to feel is self-love, safetyness, and just being true to yourself. And in the end of the day, we're all here to experience unconditional love. Yeah. So if I go back to the child, into the womb of our mother, we all knew it was unconditional love and safety in this time. So all I'm doing is opening a door, helping the person walk in there, and then it's a remembering of that feeling that our body already knows. It's not a mind, it's the body knows. Yeah. You can put a person in why do people when they have extreme anxiety or really a lot of trauma happening at the same time, you find them a lot of times they laying on the floor in a fetal position, because the body is a safe place, and that's the same thing what I'm doing. So I'm here to hold space, mirror, and then see how large this wave is going to ride, and I'm ready, more than ever ready for that, because in the end of the day, the odds that I'm doing right now, what I'm doing, based on how I grew up, the same what you said with your story, based on where I'm from, how the cards were dealt to me, a zero. And I'm like, if I can do that, everyone can do that. If I can feel safe again in my body, if I can find a partner, have a beautiful relationship, if I can build a life for myself that I'm actually enjoying, and then helping other people to walk each other home, everyone can do that. And that's just, for me, it's like I want to be living by example, and that's why I take my practice so seriously on a daily basis. That's why I surround myself with people who are giving me energy, not just sucking it out. Yeah. So we become, the longer you walk on this path, the more narrow it becomes. And it's kind of what, read the Buddha teachings and practices. So walk the middle path, but it's going to be very, very narrow at one point. And not a lot of people who want to be close to you can walk on that. Because you become very selective. But that's my path, and I think for anyone who wants to lead a lot of people in the right direction, you just have to be by yourself, always true to yourself. In the end of the day.
Well, you're doing it, man.
Thank you.
I can see it. I can feel it. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks for sharing more of your super life with a bunch of the SuperLife people.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.